He'd like to have you do a number for him on Sunday's show.
We'd be very happy to.
Yes, very happy.
3-2 Brighton. 3-2. My name is Barry Norman. I'm not to be confused with the gentleman who produced the television show on BBC One, Barry Norman. This is Barry Norman here. As you can see, I'm not Barry Norman. He's quite older than I am. Although he's got a nicer pair of glasses than me, which is quite a shame. But anyway, but that's Barry Norman. He also suffers from narcolepsy. That's one thing that is quite, we do have in common. But now that we started, let us now continue onwards. Unless there's any more questions regarding Barry Norman. Let us now go onwards. First off, we've got a pub here called the Queen's Head. The Queen's Head was originally named after Queen Alexandria III. Now, we call it the Queen's Head because actually it's buried underneath the ground because she was tried for treason, and underneath the ground we have her head is actually buried here as a way of, because she was getting tried for treason, which treason of course was, she was selling postage stamps to the French, and of course at that time it was in the 17th century it was illegal, and so they chopped off her head and put her head underneath the ground, you know, and now as you can see some of the markings on the ground here, these are the cobbles. Now they were also made in celebration of the Queen's Head because of the intricate design, as you can quite see there. Well, let us now continue onwards. Any questions?
What date did this happen on?
This happened on the 14th of July in 1774. That was when they had a royal banquet here, and they just lopped off her head and then they buried it under the ground. And the markings they put underneath was sort of like, the intricate design was ordered to have a cell-like appearance. The council have recently put down some markings on the floor, as you can see there, is a form of cobbles, which actually is a form of design of the original tribe of the Shana tribe in the 5th century, and that was the markings that used to wear on their overcoats and on their kilts as well. Very famous scene here taken in the movie The Brighton Rock as well. It is also appeared in the movie Brighton Rock, starring Orson Welles. Orson Welles sadly could not be here today, as he is dead. But let us now continue onwards. A particular spot is, of course, underneath it's called Trafalgar Street, named after the Battle of Trafalgar.
Free tour of Brighton.
As you can also see, we've got, it's very, very famous in terms of prophecy, particularly within the Roman Catholic Church and the Free Presbyterian churches as well, who each proclaim that the 2012 disasters that are due to happen, apparently, are due to happen in this very, very spot. And if you look closely on the wall, you see the number 187 there, 15 metres. The 187 symbolises 187 tribes that are going to rise up and going to fight in this very area. Of course, with the Romans, of course, and yes, this Pacific spot is to lead down to the underwater caves, which we will explore later. So it is believed that there will be 187 tribes, and they shall clash 50 metres from each other, and there'd be a total anarchy and the world would be destroyed. But hopefully not, because it's such a lovely town. Why would you start with destroying Brighton? Why not hope? As you probably can gather, the war drum is slowly beginning to beat. Over the next coming years, the rhythm will get stronger and stronger and stronger. There'll be thousands and thousands of people here, and hopefully the world won't end, because I'll be out of a job. Any other questions? Let us now continue onwards.
What do the drums symbolise?
The drums symbolise the Armageddon that's going to unfold. How the armies will converge upon each other, shouting with spears and bombs and everything.
Well,
Culture of Brighton.
You might like to have a little close look at some of the murals on the wall we've got here. We've got, of course, the Banksy one there from the artist from London. And we've got a fantastic mural there of John Peel, who sadly passed away in 2004, former Radio 1 DJ. Before John Peel was on the wall, they had another mural, which some of the residents were very, very annoyed when it was taken down, because it's one of the former Aston Villa footballer and Gladiators presenter, John Fashanu. John Fashanu was very, very famous in the area. He belonged to a shamanistic group. The shamans, of course, sort of mystics. And yeah, it was quite a small community that existed in around the UK, particularly outside the Tamworth area and into Wales. John Fashanu, yeah, he was seen as a figurehead at the time. He was often heard say on the gladiators every day. He would shout, "Awooga!" He would shout it, he would roar it, and that there was a shamanistic chant, exclaiming, trying to bring out the gods. Now, of course, in 2004 they replaced the mural of John Fashanu after they had but he was a former football player. He was accused and he was successfully tried for match fixing. The Wasibee tribe.
The Wasibee tribe?
The Wasibee tribe is a shamanistic group.
So you worship the devil?
No, they don't worship the devil. They're a mystic group. They have a variety of pagan gods. They're very famous for, particularly they invented headphones originally. They were persecuted underneath Cromwell, the Puritans, and they've been persecuted by the Roman Catholic Church throughout history, because they do believe that Jesus Christ is sometimes is a supreme deity, but they also believe in several other deities, such as the moon god and also the god of the seagull. The seagull god is, of course, not. Again, that's the reason why they're not so popular in seaside towns, because the seagulls, some people think they have a horrendous noise. I personally think they've got a lovely, vibrant voice, and it's very, very important to communicate. We do communicate in the same way.
Okay, thank you.
Does that help too? I know we're dealing mostly with the past and the future. We like to pay attention to the sign. Unfortunately, it just shows you what happens if you stray over to home. Just be aware when you go over there. Just make sure to even a lot of people carry guns down there, so but I do not stray over that part of town as it's so rough. Brighton, Brighton. The Lord Nelson pub. This is a very famous Brighton pub. It was founded in 1790. It's one of the first pubs to come into the town. It's of course named after Lord Nelson. It's named after Nelson Mandela's great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, James Nelson. Of course, he changed his name to Mandela afterwards. The pub sells a wide range of beverages and that, and it has a very unique history. Very, very famous inn, not just because it's named after Lord Admiral Nelson. It's also very famous because it was in 1955 it became the first NHS pub. What people used to have a drink and used to go through major surgery as well. This revolutionised how people practice medicine throughout the years. Probably these gentlemen there probably been some teeth. It was NHS owned until 1994 when it became a privately owned pub hospital. In 1994 it was bought over by Bupa. It's also very famous. Up there you've got a drawing room upstairs, and that's where Winston Churchill, for example, planned the D-Day landings, which were so successful and led to the defeat of the Germans. Also very famous is that the very first Brighton Council took on here, so it's a very famous spot.
Is it legal to have an NHS pub?
Well, no longer here because it's now a privately owned NHS pub. Of course, it was a way of revolutionise how we do, not just by bringing in a free health service, bringing in a free health service that offers drinks and bar snacks as well. Just think about it, if you're laying there with a broken leg and you had terrible amounts of pain, just think you could have a packet of pork scratchings and a pint of Guinness even, or perhaps probably a pint of Harvey's, one of the local drinks would probably be best. But it would be well worth joining in. There we go. Any other questions? Free tour, Brighton. You're welcome to join in if you like. Just explaining about the history of the pub here. Wonderful. Would you like to add anything to the history? Or perhaps you might like to talk about the future of the pub. There we go. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Any other questions at this juncture?
No.
We shall now continue onward. Great turf, Brighton.